Hello, and thank you for joining us. Mark Carney will be the next Prime Minister of Canada, but for how long remains to be seen. On Sunday, Carney swept the Liberal leadership race in a landslide first ballot victory. But as Kevin Green reports, his bigger battle is yet to come.
Who's ready to stand up for Canada with me?
Mark Carney is the new Liberal leader, soon to be Prime Minister, but before he got the keys to the party, he got some advice from former PM Jean Chrétien: build more pipelines.
For example, to build a pipeline for natural gas from Alberta to Quebec.
When we come together, we build things that last because we are Canada strong.
In his post-election speech, Carney talked about nation building, not pipeline building, but last week in Calgary, he said he'd do everything he could to see them done.
My government will look to do everything the federal government can do in order for them to move forward. We're a federation. There are other levels of government that need to come along.
When it comes to pipelines, Pierre Poilievre says he was always on board and accuses Carney and the Liberals of jumping on the bandwagon.
I was the first one to be, along with my Conservative colleagues, fighting for pipelines. Pipelines now everyone claims that they support after opposing them for the last 10 years.
As Carney noted, it will take provincial buy-in to push an eastbound pipeline past the finish line. Premier Doug Ford says he's on board.
This is where the federal government, no matter who gets elected, needs to look at national infrastructure projects that we'll never have to rely on anyone again.
The battle lines for the next election are now being redrawn in real time, and political scientist Laurie Williams says Trump has changed voter expectations.
They're looking at who could be the next best prime minister and not just somebody who's criticizing the existing policies of the Liberal government.
But that's just what Poilievre was doing Monday.
Canadians have a choice in the next election. Do they want to give the Liberals a fourth term in power after they drove up housing costs, food prices, and taxes?
Liberal candidates watching Carney take control of the party Sunday say his election has them stoked.
And I think there's some really positive momentum we have as a country going forward.
But with grit support gaining and in some polls surpassing the Tories, Williams predicts positivity won't be the hallmark of the upcoming election.
It's going to be a nasty campaign, I'm afraid.
Kevin joins us now. Kevin, Mark Carney has promised he will call an election early in his mandate.
Yes, Tara, but a few things have to happen first. First, Justin Trudeau needs to go to the Governor-General and tender his resignation. And then Mr. Carney needs to be sworn in as the next Prime Minister. And then he needs to go back to the Governor-General and ask for Parliament to be dissolved and for an election to be called. Now, there's some strategic reasons why the Liberals would like to see an election sooner rather than later. And it's not just about their recent surge in polling. It's more about money, and that's because the Conservatives have a lot of it, which they've amassed over the last couple of years, and there's no rules right now on how they can spend it or how much of it they can spend on advertising. But once the writ is dropped, election financing rules come into play, and once again, every party is on equal footing. Back to you.
Okay, Kevin, thank you for that.